Hello again, Year 5. We're now at the end of the week. It's Friday, and we're going to put together some of the skills that we've been practicing into some writing. We're going to select some information, and we're going to interpret some key information, the main points. We're going to make sense of them from the text, but it's all going to be about Fred. We're just going to concentrate on that one character, and this character in this situation. So not just generally what we know about him, but in particular, what do we know about Fred? There are some questions to help you. So if you look on your slide, we've got to form a picture of him, and we're going to use part of the text as well. So I've been through this, the whole text, and I've just picked out some information about Fred. And as I've picked it out, I've made notes. So this took a little bit of time. It will take you a little bit of time. You've got to use your reading skills of skimming and scanning the text. Some of it talks about other children. Some of it talks about the jungle and describes their injuries. But we're going to be even more picky than that. We're going to pick out how Fred is reacting. What does he say? What does he do? And what does that tell us about him? So, here we go. Have a look at my notes, see if you agree. So, my first impression of Fred is he is a survivor. He physically survives the plane crash, but he's determined to keep on surviving. He looks at his injuries, and it says, Fred wondered as he ran if he was dead. So he's not standing about, he's running away and trying to make sense of things as he's running away. He jabbed a finger into the back of his tongue to summon up spit. He's trying to clear out his throat. He's determined to keep going. He's determined to stay alive, and he's determined to move on and keep going. So what I've done with my notes is I'm just writing a word or two or a phrase that tells me about Fred. Another reason why I think he's a survivor, because despite his injuries, and he's got a few, he's still there and he's still going. The next thing I thought about Fred was that he's struggling to make sense of the situation. So I would say he's confused, okay? He doesn't quite know what's going on, all right? I can tell that here. He's saying, is anybody there? Help! Fire! He shouts. A whole load of random words. He doesn't really know what's going on. I think that Fred is agile. I don't know if you know that word, but if you're agile, you move quite freely and easily. And even though he's injured and he's just survived a plane crash, he can still duck behind a tree, and that's a quote from the text. And he spun round when he heard the voices and the bushes rustling. He didn't just turn, he spun, a quick movement. So he's able to move quite easily and freely. I think he's scared. He's scared because I've got this quote, his heart beat like a one-man band. A one-man band has a huge drum in it which constantly goes thump, thump, thump. And actually there's a lot mentioned about Fred's heart racing. I think he's also curious. Why do I think that? Because he wanted to know who was there. He called out. He didn't just run away straight away. He was trying to find out where the voices were and who they belonged. So he was curious enough to wait and find out. He also wanted to check how the others were because he asks questions. I wonder if I can find a question. There we go. Let me have a little look here. Sometimes we have to skim read this. Who is it? Who's there? That's from the people. And Fred is becoming accustomed. He goes, are you from the plane? Are you hurt? He's asking questions about the others. He wants to know. So that led me on to think, if he's asking questions, he's worried, he's concerned. So I've linked that word to that piece of evidence. He's concerned about the snake because when it's very, very close to his foot, he runs. But he's also, as the chapter goes on, he's concerned about Max. He keeps asking Max if he's all right. When Max can't run away from the snake anymore, he picks him up, despite having a stitch, and he ran away, he skidded. And I've put a little star here because that evidence, skidded, further on in the chapter, goes back to that word agile. So he's still moving quickly. I think he's brave. He's brave because he carried Max despite having a stitch and being frightened himself. And also he tries to reassure the others. And he says this right near the end of the chapter, it'll be all right in the morning. Now that's a lot of evidence. In a moment, I'm going to put some of this into some sentences. But pause the video and take a moment to make just a few notes about what you think Fred is like from that second chapter.